Hi, guys. Welcome to Real Food Recovery. Today, we're talking about something that sits underneath every health goal, every habit, every healing journey, and that is the nervous system. Many of us have been taught that if we can just change our thoughts, remind ourselves we're safe, or think more positively, our body will calm down. And sometimes that does work, but only when the body already feels safe enough to listen. So, what we're going to explore today is a deeper truth. Calm doesn't start in the mind, it starts in the body. When the nervous system feels supported, slowed down, and safe, our thoughts naturally become more clear, kinder, and more flexible. But when the body is stuck in survival mode, no amount of positive thinking can override it. We're going to talk about how the way we speak to ourselves affects our nervous system, why slowing the breathing matters, why we were never meant to do life alone, and why receiving help isn't weakness, it's regulation. So today, this conversation is going to be about understanding how the nervous system regulation isn't a side practice of health, it's the foundation of it. And let me introduce you to a repeat customer, Darla
No, thank you.
Nelson. We are so happy to have her back. She is a Christian life coach, speaker, and author of I'm Fine, Really? With a
Mhm.
heart for helping women move from stress and overwhelm to peace, clarity, and deeper connection with God. Darla shares practical faith based tools for living with intention and hope. She is passionate about the power of our words, the importance of mindset, and learning to trust God in every season of life. Darla also hosts two annual women's gatherings, Blossom and Autumn, creating spaces for women to come together for connection, reflection, and spiritual growth. Darla is a proud mom of three married children and Oma to her five grandchildren and loves walking alongside women as they grow in faith, freedom, and joy. We are so happy to have you today. Before we get started, do you want to share anything more about yourself? What kind of led you into this line of work? If it was your own curiosity or something else, but yeah, just take a minute and
Yes.
let's get to know you a little bit.
Thank you so much. And first of all, thanks for having me back on your show.
You
That's such an
bet.
honor. It's always fun to get to be invited back to a show. So, a little bit about myself. I grew up in Southern California, and like you mentioned, I'm married. I can't believe that I'm soon to be married 39 years, which is amazing in and of itself. And
No
so,
kidding.
yes, next month, my husband and I were just talking about that. Like, how is that even possible? And yet, another cool thing, Paige, is that we're still friends and he's my favorite
Yeah.
person. So that's
Oh,
helpful.
that's great.
Yes, I've got three married children and those five little grandkids so far. I'm sure we'll have some more, God willing, in the future. And just life experience, really, that just led me to experiencing my own stress and anxiety and all the things that we go through in life
Mm-hmm.
from personally losing my father and losing my brother
Oh,
and
wow.
going through the down economy and all the stress that that causes. And so yeah, that's really a culmination of why I knew that I was someone that had a lot of stress myself. And you talked earlier about mindset, and I could
Yeah.
feel it in my body, like
Mm-hmm.
I had done all the tests. I'd gone to the doctors and did all the things, and I knew that it was my body talking to me. And so I think that's why you and I connected initially, because we understand that, right? We understand
Mm-hmm.
it's our body needs to feel safe.
Yeah, and I think we did have an instant connection, which I don't have with many people, but I feel like we became fast friends
Oh,
automatically.
thank
So I
you.
do appreciate that. You feel the same way, right?
Absolutely. I'm
Good
going to say that
answer.
because we're on show together.
So let's get into this conversation about the nervous system because many people believe that calming thoughts are what regulate the body, but often it works best the other way around. Why do you think the body needs to feel safe before thoughts can truly help? It might not make sense from the outside, but let's talk about that because I think everyone would be interested to hear a little bit more about that
Yes,
topic.
yes, absolutely. Because for one, our nervous system, it senses danger, right? And so emotional danger, which is a big one.
Yeah.
And our brain, if we're having any sense of danger, if we're feeling that in our bodies, our brain actually kind of goes offline. It like turns off almost. And
Mm-hmm.
so positive thoughts. We might try to be positive. We'll do
Yeah.
all the affirmations. We'll do all the
Mhm.
things, right? Scripture even feels distant for some people. We feel far from God if that's something that someone's, that's a part of their life. And even affirmations, they don't land well when your nervous system is in danger or it's feeling in
Mhm.
danger. I mean, you can
Yep.
say all day, I feel great. I feel great. And yet, if you don't feel safe, it doesn't matter how many times you say that,
Yeah.
you're not going to believe it. And
I
so
agree.
when the body settles, when we start to breathe into our experiences, then the mind can follow and we can know more peace.
Yeah, I agree. And we have in our bodies what's called the autonomic nervous system that it's
Hmm.
always scanning for safety. It's its job.
Yes.
Whether you're too hot, you're too cold, you're hungry, you're thirsty, whatever it is, its job is to make sure you're safe.
Yes.
And if that's on high alert, you know that saying where I just can't think straight? If it's on high
Yes.
alert, it's true that it's difficult just to think straight when you're busy looking for safety. So that makes so much sense. And
Yes.
you explained it in a beautiful way. So we get into a little bit about how during those times where you're feeling stressed about the way we speak to ourselves to help us signal safety or threat. And that does help the nervous system as well. I mean, I do think, the breathing, starting with that, calming
Yes.
yourself.
Yes.
But I do think there's a little bit of overlap with self-talk too. But do you want to talk more about the impact that self-talk does have, or the way we even just speak to ourselves,
Yes.
whether it's
Yes.
kind or rough or mean or stern?
I truly believe it's one of my favorite topics, actually, is that there's so much power in the words that we speak. And so if I constantly say, as an example, like, well, you should be better. Paige, you should just be better. Or how come you can't handle that? Or
Mm-hmm.
maybe I say, what, like to a child, a parent says to a child, what's
Yep.
wrong with you?
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine? Like you
Mm.
hear that, your body feels threat. It's imagining threat because your parent has just said, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Instead of shifting that to a place of, you know, I know that you're going through some things, but let's just take this one step at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Or, this is a really hard thing you're going through, but I'm still
Mm-hmm.
here for you. I'm going to be right here walking alongside of you.
Mm-hmm.
And that, do you just feel the difference even in how we say
Mm-hmm.
that?
Mm-hmm.
The tone
Mm-hmm.
is so key. It's not just the
Oh, sure.
words, but it's
Yeah.
the tone. And the tone can actually signal safety to ourselves as
Oh,
well.
totally. Because you're either your dukes are up or you're leaning in with curiosity to, okay,
Mhm.
how are we going to handle this?
Yes, yes. I was actually with a group of women yesterday, and we were going to be doing some speaking, a group of us together. And one of the ladies was just like, I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous. And I said, if I could encourage you to do one thing, it would be to flip the switch, to change the words. Like instead of saying all the time that you're nervous, 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 switch it to I'm excited. I'm excited. And and then we did a little experiment. I said, I want you to say the word love. So she said, love. How does that feel? And I said, now I want you to say the word hate. How does that feel?
Mm-hmm.
And when we say
Totally.
it, I mean, I did it right now. I can literally feel it
Me
in my
too.
heart.
I
I
felt
can
it too.
feel it in my heart. There's a
Mm.
huge difference even in the words that we speak. So yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
powerful.
Mm-hmm. I know. And when you're working with people, if they are saying, I'm nervous, I'm nervous, I'm nervous, do you ever say, tell me a little more about that? Like, what exactly, if we can put our finger right on top of what's coming up for you, what's nervous, do you ever work your way through that emotion with them
Yes,
so they
yes.
peel it back, and then let's think of a new word. What once we've discovered really what the issue is?
Well, a lot of times that's coming from a past experience, maybe. So maybe there was a time when they were a small child and they were on the stage in elementary school,
Yeah.
and and
Mm-hmm.
and now they're 48 years old and they remember that experience. They were, 8 years old. They were on stage and a bully in the crowd made some comment to them,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so that trigger comes back to them again. And so
Mm-hmm.
now here at 48 years old, they're still remembering what happened to them as a small child, even
Totally.
though it may never have happened again.
Yeah, it's always historical, right? When we have these
Yes.
big emotions, it's always historical, which the reason I like going back to that is because then you can speak to that bully and, now as an adult, can you kneel down and tell that little girl you're safe and then turn to the bully and say buzz off or whatever you need to do to kind of
Yes.
finish processing that
Yes.
emotion. So hopefully that then is left in the past and not happening again right now to you.
For sure, because you have a choice. We all do every single day, a choice, and doesn't mean that it's easy, but we have a choice to go two paths, right? I'm going to go the path of almost, it's almost like least resistance, the least resistant of I'm going to stay stuck. I'm going to keep in this victim mode, or I'm going to choose it's a little bit harder at first.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, what we don't understand is that sometimes the things that appear now to be difficult, in essence, create freedom for our future.
Mm-hmm.
The decisions that we're trying to make that right now seem very difficult, they actually are going to give us freedom.
I heard somebody talking about things being hard this
Mhm.
morning, hardship. And I said, so is it a hardship or is it an opportunity to grow and learn
Mm.
and wrong direction? So I love reframing and
Yes,
looking for silver
yes.
linings. So hardships in life, we are all going to have them. So what do we need? What are we trying? What's the universe trying to help us take away from that experience?
Well, I think life brings us I like to call them learnings. Life brings us so many learnings. And so once again, it's like, am I going to choose to be stuck in this learning, or am I going to say, like you said, what is the opportunity here to
Hmm.
look at life differently, to look at it from a different perspective? And generational, we talked about historical things, like generational, we often will take things that our grandparents did, our parents did, and now we're bringing them into the next generation.
Yeah.
And it
Hmm.
doesn't mean that what they did was wrong. It maybe just didn't work as well as we would like it to
Hmm.
work now. And
Hmm.
so we get to make that choice and say, you know what, I'm going to choose something different for myself moving forward, for my family, for my children. And it can totally change our bodies and our nervous system because we are choosing to be calm.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that word choice. I do believe that it is a choice, but I don't know that everybody understands this is a choice and you're not just a victim.
Mm.
Don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. Can I share something that happened just yesterday?
Sure.
Yeah, so I won't give any names, of course, but I had this person that I was speaking with, and it was our stress, our nervous system can affect every single part of our life.
Oh, yeah.
Keep us stuck from moving forward, right?
Yeah.
Our cortisol stays elevated, our
Yeah.
digestion slows down, our inflammation
Hmm.
increases. But even, I mean, that's our body talking, and it can affect our businesses, it can affect our relationships, all the different things. And I was talking to this person yesterday who was having a hard time with their business. Visit wasn't where they wanted to be. And so we just started like scrolling back, like let's scroll back and see where this is coming from, some of the things that this
Hmm.
person was experiencing. And we went back. One of the questions that came up was feeling disappointed. He felt like
Hmm.
his father had been disappointed. And so his father has now passed away. And so I asked him, I said, could you share with me, like, what is your first memory of when you felt like you disappointed your father? And wow, he started sharing that with me. I won't go into it all in here, but he remembered the very first time he felt that way. And the experience, here he is, let's see, he was like 10 then and he's almost 40 now. And so here 30 some years later, that is still affecting his ability to move forward.
Oh, it's driving his life.
Absolutely driving his life.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Which actually, I want to talk more. This leads right into the interesting topic about how what actually happens inside the body when someone lives in that chronic stress, even if they appear healthy and high functioning on the outside. Talk about what's going on inside the noggin and also in just
The noggin.
literally underneath the skin, everywhere, systemically.
Everywhere, everywhere. So, what's crazy about that is that on the outside, we can look like we got it all together. We can look
Yeah,
like we're successful
a lot of
and
work to do that. It's a
everything's
lot of work.
going, it's
Mm-hmm.
like the social media reel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yet on the inside, we're exhausted.
Totally.
We're crying and people don't know it. I mean, that was
Mm-hmm.
totally me back in, gosh, when was that? Like 2010, when I was in a career that I wasn't enjoying, like I looked
Oh.
successful and I would literally sit in my financial office and cry. People didn't know that.
Oh,
People didn't know that except my husband.
because you hated your job, you
I
mean?
hated my job. And chronic stress is what I like to refer to as it's wear and tear of our bodies
Totally.
quietly happening and people not
Mm-hmm.
understanding what it's doing to them. And then they end up in the ER. So, I mentioned a little bit earlier that our inflammation increases, our digestion slows down, our cortisol levels go crazy. And then what happens is also people get sick.
Yeah.
Their immune system totally weakens. People wonder, well, why am I constantly having a cold? Maybe it's the stress in your body. And I
Mm-hmm.
can't remember exactly the percentage, but I know it's over 83. I think it's 83% of people that end up in the ER that the underlying reason of being there. So they've gone in for something else, right? And the
Mm-hmm.
underlying reason of being there is stress.
Wow.
It's like 83%.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
that quiet wear
Mm-hmm.
and tear of our body
Yeah.
that's
Quiet
happening.
killer. It's a silent killer.
It is a killer.
Totally. D- Great conversation. I'm listening. I'm listening. I'm hanging on every word just you're saying. I'm paying attention because I need to maybe make some stress changes in my own life. And this conversation is for me. Other people can listen in out there if you want to listen in, but really, this
Well,
is
you know
just
what?
between Darla and I.
Well, you know what, Paige? This is the reason I can even share on this does not mean that I have this all figured out. Okay. I want people to know that I am not A plus perfect at this all the time. And I'll give an example.
Totally.
A few weeks ago, just a few weeks ago, I had so many things on my calendar, and a lot of them were up here in my head, and I hadn't actually written them down yet.
Oh,
And so for several nights in a row, I had like chest pain.
yeah.
Yeah, I had chest pain. I wasn't sleeping well.
Mm-hmm.
And I finally, I'm like, and I'm praying, of course, about all these things. And yet, once again, it was like, okay, I know the answer. Just do it. Okay, just do it. And so I did. I got up and I got my binder out and I just started, I made like folders to it. I was like, okay, I got this event coming up and that one and these and all these things. And I started writing down everything I need to do from, send an email to whatever it was. I took it from my brain and I stuck it on paper
Totally.
and I released it.
Yeah.
And I started sleeping better.
Yeah.
I started
Mm-hmm.
feeling better.
Yeah.
The chest pain that I literally made a doctor's appointment. You know what's funny about it? It's not funny now, is when it was weeks ago because it was going to be like a month out before I could see the doctor. So I see the doctor next week. I haven't had any chest pains now for a long time, a good week, 2 weeks now or more. But
Darla,
it's a new doctor. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to go anyways and get like, what do you call that? I don't even
just
know.
a workup. A workup.
It's a brand new doctor, new
Yeah.
insurance and all the things.
Uh-huh.
So I'm still going to go. But how many times do you make it for myself? Do I make a doctor's appointment that I never really even need because I'm better?
Girl, if you would have called me, I wouldn't have charged you anything. I would have seen you right then and I've told you, get organized.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
the
And
organizational queen.
I love organization. I truly do. It was just like there was so many things. I was emailing myself all throughout the night of things I
Yes.
needed to do. And
Yeah.
that helps
Been
that
there.
helps me a lot too.
Mm-hmm. Do you have pen and paper by your nightstand, on your nightstand,
I
by your
don't
bed?
because then I can't see it. I've tried that before and then the next morning I can't read what it says. So it's just easier to roll over, email myself really fast.
That's so funny. You know, that all of that leads to the topic of slowing down, and we're used to
Mhm.
going a million miles an hour. And don't you think that just slow breathing is a good place to start with
Mhm.
slowing down, that it has such a powerful impact on calming the nervous system? We always hear that that's the first step in trying to calm our nervous system. Do you believe that? Do you buy into that? Do you want to?
I love that's what I do with my clients. Actually, it's the very first thing we do every single session is we
Oh,
always begin with a breathing and then we always follow it up with what's gone well since the last time I saw you because what it does is it helps people to flip the switch of their mind. And so if they know, like if you knew next Monday at 9 o'clock in the morning or whatever, you're going to meet with me and I'm going to ask you what's gone well this week. Even if the world fell apart, even if the world fell apart, your life didn't look that great this week. There's always one
I
thing
agree.
that you can find to be grateful for.
Yeah, yeah,
And
I
so they
agree.
know I'm going to ask it. And so they're looking
Hmm.
for it. And
Hmm.
sometimes maybe it's, their ice machine works. I don't know. But there's
Don't
something to be grateful for.
I agree, but don't you think that slowing down can feel uncomfortable or maybe even unsafe for people who are used to being in that constant motion, constant control? I mean, I know I get a little jittery when things get too slow because I'm used to going 100 miles an hour.
Mhm.
So, do you agree with that, that it can be uncomfortable? And how do you
Yeah.
lean into that transition for people that are type AAA, go, go, go,
AAA, I
into,
like that.
yeah.
Well, you and I talked earlier about the word busy. I think
Hmm.
in our society, to me, that's a four-letter word, but
Hmm.
it's almost like the word busy is a badge of honor.
I agree.
It's like
I don't
it's
disagree.
if I stay busy,
Hmm.
if that's all I've ever known, right? If I've just learned in my life, I got to be productive and I got to keep going and then I'm just going to prevent conflict. I'm going to prevent all these things from happening, chaos. And yet I just shared with someone this morning, we create our own chaos. We
It's a
do.
knowing laugh. I laughed out of a knowing.
So when we're
Uh-huh.
still, when we literally be still, it's confusing. It can feel exposing
It's
to ourselves.
scary. Yeah, I don't know why, but it's scary. Like your mind can think about deeper things, and you're like, well, I don't want to do that.
Or it's avoidance. It's an avoidance technique.
Totally.
Yes.
Totally. I think that's why it's uncomfortable for people. Like if you're on a long drive, I remember before all the technical opportunities driving from Colorado to Kansas, you've got 8 hours to just sit there and think about stuff. That's horrible. I mean, why would anybody do anything that crazy? But
Well, you could read a book.
yeah, but I'm just saying,
Yes.
it's just that.
You could do like we used to do. Did you ever, like when you were growing up, did you ever play those games with your kids? Like you see all the signs, you got to go A is,
Yeah,
use
uh-huh,
street names, and
uh-huh.
maybe
I
we need
was
to get back to that.
right. I'm so ADD, especially as a kid, and I'm a math minor. I love math, that I would just start count. I'd say, how many more minutes have we got? And then our times at times 60, and then I'd just start counting.
One,
So,
two.
yeah, uh-huh.
We used to
So
I have really good memories of traveling before cell phones, when we were little, when I was little. And of course, we didn't have all the things they have now. And there's sometimes I will be driving myself as a not the driver, but what am I trying to say? The person in the car,
passenger,
passenger, I can think of the word. And I'll have to purposely say, it's okay, Darla, put your phone down and just
yeah.
look at the mountains, look at the
Hmm.
snow,
Hmm.
allow
That's
yourself
funny.
to be still.
That's funny. I actually drove myself home from I drove my husband was not well last summer before he passed, and I go out every year to Pikes Peak and hike that for my birthday, and I decided to go ahead and do that. And so I drove to Colorado by myself. I'd never done anything like that. I was amazed at what I saw that I've never seen before on the 100 other trips back and forth to Colorado. And you
Uh,
know what? It actually went a little faster than I thought. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is too bad. It's over. But Yeah, I saw a lot of scenery I ain't never seen before because my head was always buried in something just to keep
Yes,
myself
yes.
busy. So that was an interesting case study for me, an interesting
I'm
exercise.
glad you did a case study on yourself. That's good.
Yeah. Uh-huh. I passed.
That's good. That's good.
So,
Hmm.
as we're talking about nervous system regulation and all that it takes to calm ourselves, how do you think that nervous system dysregulation shows up physically in ways people don't often connect to stress, such as like digestive issues, sleep problems, cravings, or inflammation, or even the heart problems that you were talking about? Don't you think?
Yes, absolutely. Like hormonal imbalance,
Oh, yeah.
frequent illness. One that I
Mm-hmm.
think of is jaw clenching.
Mm-hmm.
Years ago, I don't remember, like 20 some years ago, I used to have to go to, I forget the type of treatment the man did on me, but my jaws were so tight from
TMJ.
stress.
Mm-hmm.
And so, wow, I wish I could remember what he called it, but he would actually put gloves on. It was an alternative type treatment, and he would work on the inside of my mouth.
Yeah.
And it
Mm-hmm.
was so painful
Yeah.
and so freeing.
Mm-hmm.
So you could like feel the jaw just like relax.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
another one is sugar cravings,
Oh, totally.
right? When we're
Totally.
dysregulated and we're stressed out, what are we turning to? You know,
Totally.
Watching a movie in the evening and you're just like, it could be sugar or it could be salt even.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are grabbing, my case, I'd grab like in the olden days, I don't even buy these anymore on purpose, but I would buy those long packages of Ritz crackers.
Oh,
Oh yeah, I would just down the whole thing. I mean, why
yeah.
not? You know?
Yeah. I mean, everyone that's listening right now, our audience is usually made up of those that are recovering from the effects of ultra processed food use disorder.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, whenever stress, because we know the stress pathway lays right next to the craving pathway. So if you vibrate that stress pathway, it's automatically going to vibrate the craving pathway. And so, and nighttime is the worst for people with that. But yeah, if you activate stress and a dysregulated nervous system, the lowest hanging fruit, pun intended, is head to the kitchen of how can I numb myself as quick as possible. And food is usually the first answer that we come up with. So
Right.
we work on this tremendously with people in recovery about
Mhm.
what do I actually need right
In
now?
this
Because
moment,
the answer
yes.
is never food. It's always comfort. But if food weren't an option,
Hmm.
what would we turn to that would allow be the most soothing possible to pull us out of this trauma drive that we're in
Right,
that's
right.
sending us to the food?
And a lot of times that's maybe just connection with other people.
Totally. Yeah. Call a friend, text a friend, step outside, take a deep breath, change location,
Do
journal.
some exercise.
Exercise always is a great way to calm the nervous system. Even
Hmm.
if it's jumping up and down, humming, it will calm the
Mm.
vagus nerve in the body. Um, Splash water on your face, all those different
All the things,
things.
all the things. It's just
And
truly amazing how stress shows up in our body.
oh, yeah. And you know what? If you can't think of those in the moment when you're stressed, have a note card with everything
Mm.
written
Good
down
idea.
and maybe highlight the things that work the best and, number them. I'm going to
Hmm.
try this one first. If that didn't work, I'm going to go to
Right,
this.
right,
But things like that to give yourself, because you don't always have access to that frontal lobe, rational, logical thinking
right,
center in the brain when things are again, I go back to what I said in the beginning. There are times that we go, I just can't think straight right now. And that is true. And it's a
right.
blood flow problem to that
Mm.
frontal lobe. So any little tricks that you can have available
I
for
like the
yourself.
idea that you suggested of having a card if that's something that someone struggles with,
Yeah,
because
or sticky note, something,
Mhm.
anything that you can quickly reference. Even you can explain to yourself why, or you can have your list of
Yes.
friends that you're going to contact. You have,
Or
your
maybe you have someone that is with you that
mm-hmm.
sees that you're in the midst of this stress crisis,
Yeah,
and they can be there to remind you as well. Like, okay,
yeah,
friend, just take a deep breath, or
yeah,
go on a walk, remind you,
yeah.
and they can be a support for you.
Yeah, I do think that it is very difficult to think straight when you're in the middle of a stress crisis like
Mhm.
that. So these are little tools, little tips and tricks we can have on the
It's
side to
also
help
why we
us.
don't want to make a rash decision
Oh
or,
yeah.
if we've got something that's really important to make a decision on, like not to make it in a rash way, but to really allow ourselves space and time and prayer. If that's something that's good for you, to just
Hmm.
to turn to that so that you know that you're responding to life and not reacting.
I agree. Impulse control is huge, especially for people in the recovery world. That's what gets us in trouble is, have a
Mhm.
thought out the mouth or do
Yes,
an action.
yes.
But there needs to be that pause button in there because how many people regret what they do because they didn't
Oh,
just stop
all
and
the time.
pause for a minute.
Or even
So,
in text messages.
oh yeah.
How
You
many
know those
times? How
you
many
know
times? Go ahead, sorry.
the shows where somebody's firing off and then they go delete, 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 and
Yeah,
then they'll
yeah,
fire it and no, delete, delete,
yeah,
delete.
yeah.
I'm just cracking up at that.
I always suggest to people, when you get a text that you look at, I've had just a few, thankfully, not that many, where you get them and you're like, what in
Huh?
the world am I reading? Like, did I
Mm-hmm.
just read this right?
Yeah.
And I learned years ago from someone, and I truly appreciated it. It was to assume positive intent. So you read this text, you're
Oh.
like, what? What just happened? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and so you remind yourself, like, are they in a bad place when they're texting this? Are they mad? Or, what is their stress level when they're doing this? And so don't respond right away.
Mm-hmm.
Assume positive intent and then maybe
Mm-hmm.
wait till tomorrow to
Mm-hmm.
respond.
Mm-hmm.
Give
Yeah.
yourself more grace and understanding of how to respond.
Guarantee that you will feel differently the next day. I, even if you don't feel differently, you will have come up with different scenarios as to how to approach it. So you're not
Yeah,
burning the house down.
that's
So,
for sure.
right? I mean, or the whole block.
The
So,
whole
yeah.
block. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We don't want to do that.
And I love how you mentioned on one of the things about connecting with someone when you are in that stressed out place because we were never meant to do life alone. So let's
Hmm.
talk about how human connection helps regulate the nervous system in ways that we can't always do by ourselves. Do you want to address that?
Yeah, I don't think we were meant to be alone. I think we were meant to be in a place of community.
Tribes. Yeah.
And, for some, depending on your personality, some people, community could be one person. For others, if you're an
Totally.
extrovert, your
Hmm.
community could be lots of people. Me
Hmm.
personally, I like to call myself an introvert that loves people
Yeah.
because I love to be alone and I love to be with people. Now, some people find this surprising when I say it because I personally don't want to, I don't function well when I'm surrounded by a lot of people for a long period of time.
Hmm.
So I can be on a stage and be speaking to a group of people, but I also want to go back to my room and be quiet,
Me too. Me
right?
too. Hmm.
And so that connection that you talked about, whether that's feeling safe with the people that you're with or making eye contact like you and I are doing now, like
Hmm.
contact with the people, the tone of our voice, how are we
Hmm.
responding to people? And that's why it's so important to have someone in your corner.
Yeah, and don't you think we all have different size buckets, different
Oh,
size needs of
absolutely.
how much connection we need? Like a text or two could be enough just to
Yeah, absolutely.
snap you out of whatever. And sometimes just knowing that you've got somebody there is also
Hmm.
enough just to pull you out of whatever situation you're in. And so let's talk a little bit about what happens in the body when somebody feels truly like seen, heard, and supported. What changes? What do you talk about that? In your opinion, what changes inside the
Hmm.
body when those needs are met?
I think for sure that our breath deepens and slows down. We're more aware in our minds. Our heart rate slows down instead of this feeling like we're a hamster on a hamster wheel. We
Mm-hmm.
slow down. Maybe our shoulders, we relax more.
Mm-hmm.
And so our body can then shift from a place of
Butterfly.
grasping, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
I that's where I want to be. That's one of my goals for this year is to be in this place of receiving.
Oh, I like that.
Instead of grasping, like you imagine your hands for those listening, like instead of like trying to grasp life or guard life, open your hands, open them,
Mhm.
be
Mhm.
seen and receive whatever's coming to you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, and it pulls you out of that fight or flight too into more that
mhm.
rest and digest, which is it goes back to the stress that you talked about. And that really hit me hard when you said, people staying in that stress that you're going to get sick.
Yes,
So if you are constantly stressed out, you are constantly in that fight or flight because the body doesn't know if there's actually a bear or you're just perceiving that there's a bear.
right.
But
Or you
it's
be
going to yeah,
yes,
it's going to react the same way. And that chronic long term of feeling that way does, as you mentioned, break the body down eventually.
mhm.
So if you're in that rest and digest, everything can just kind of hum along as it's
And
supposed to.
won't feel
And
like
that
you're
comes
being
from,
chased by a lion or something.
yeah, you don't want to do that.
No,
But when you really do feel that seen, heard, understood, it does so much. Those are just those core human needs that we need to function at maximum capacity
right,
is
right.
what I would say. So,
What is one thing that, on that note, Paige, what is one experience maybe that you can do in your week or somebody listening can do in their week that allows them to, maybe it's having coffee with a friend or lunch with a friend, and you just get rejuvenated,
you mean what can they do to connect with other people?
right? To connect so that you feel seen.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps you even with all that's going on in a person's life, right? All the hard stuff
Mm-hmm.
that's going on. If they felt seen even by one other person, and maybe it's their spouse, maybe it's a family member, maybe it's a
Yeah.
friend. I know there's times when I love to have lunch with girlfriends. And today I had lunch with my husband. It was amazing.
Eh,
And it was 30 minutes, but it was just enough time. We ate Mexican food together. It was great. And and sometimes I just love to go be with my girlfriends for a short amount of time.
mm-hmm.
And then it just helps to just like shoulders drop, heart rate
Yeah.
slow, all the
You just
things.
don't feel alone in this world.
Hmm.
You feel like there's somebody out there. If the apocalypse happened tomorrow, you'd have somebody to call. You'd have someplace to go. You'd have somebody's house to go over to hibernate with. No, I think it's huge. I think it's important. And yeah, it's just that basic human need is a reason. It's that we didn't just come up with those basic human needs out of nowhere. The body really does need to feel
The
that
body was
level.
created that way.
To feel safety in that way. And which is interesting because so many people associate needing help with weakness. So, how do you think that that belief affects both mental and physical health when people are worried about, oh, if I ask for
Mhm,
help, I'm just weak and I should be
mhm.
stronger. I should be able to tolerate this and gut it out.
Well, nobody wants to be supposedly a burden, right, on other
Yeah.
people. And so maybe we were taught, just figure it out yourself or be strong or, why are you being so weak or whatever. And so we're afraid to ask for help because if we do, that means maybe that we're like a failure. When in
Hmm.
essence, when we do ask for help, and we're vulnerable, it can actually connect us. I love seeing that
Yes.
when we connect with other people, and it goes back to some other things that we've shared earlier, is that it's finding the right people to connect with,
Agree.
finding the right people that you're not going to be vulnerable with all the people, right?
Hmm.
Not everybody wants to hear all your stuff, and you don't want to share it with all the people.
Right.
And yet, there might be that one or two people that you feel really safe with that you are able to share. And so when you connect with them, it lowers your stress.
I agree. I agree. And I do feel that learning to receive support, I- not that it's a talent, but it's not always familiar and it's a practice. That's the word I'm looking
Mhm.
for. That you become more comfortable when you, in air quotes, learn to receive support. And I think it actually builds resilience and strengthens the nervous system rather than feeling dependence on, or a burden.
Yes,
You mentioned
yes,
that
right.
early earlier. So I do think that it is something that we can get better at, being vulnerable with the
Hmm.
right people.
With the right people, we don't want to tell everybody all our stuff.
Yeah, like the lady in the grocery store line. Yeah, you don't want to do that. But with the right people, you can realize, okay, that does feel a little better. And maybe I don't have to carry all of this alone. And I can see how feeling connected to other people does something. I don't really
Hmm.
know how to name it. I just know I
Right,
feel
right.
differently,
Hmm.
and I can't put my finger on it right now, but maybe I'm going to try that again and see if that works out well for me. And if it does, maybe I'll try it again after that. And so that's kind of how we build those patterns up, with being vulnerable in a safe way.
That just makes me think of energetically how much better I know for myself, how much better energetically I feel. Like I can feel really, maybe I feel tired. And I'm like, and maybe I have an appointment to go have lunch with a friend or something,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm tired, and I honestly might think about like, I don't know if I feel like going today, but I go because that's who I am, right? I go do that, and so and then I'm like rejuvenated,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel better because there was a connection, and
Yeah.
we were able to, and maybe we didn't even go deep on things, but with
Yeah.
just the essence of being together.
Hmm. I remember it was shortly after my husband passed, and I had some business changes happening, and we had been texting, and you picked up the phone and called me, which I didn't
Hmm.
expect that. And you didn't text me back, you picked up the phone and called me, and I thought, wow,
Mm.
there's somebody out there in the universe that it really
Oh,
matters
yes.
to. And that meant a lot to me. Gosh, I have a
Thank
little
you.
lump in my throat, but
Oh.
yeah, it's that connection piece
I
that
think you and I need to have a girls' weekend.
okay, keep talking. I'm listening. I'm leaning in now. But
Yeah.
yeah, those type of things really, and I would say that people don't understand the enormous impact when they do a good deed or a kindness like that, or reach
Hmm.
out and connect, how big of a impact that leaves on someone else. So anyway, yeah, I
Yes,
think it's
for
an
sure.
interesting topic.
That's a whole nother topic we could do, one day. It's just this topic of, for me, when I feel like, for instance, in your case, when knew that you were having a difficult time and I
Hmm.
picked up the phone, or maybe you text somebody or you send them a note card or
Hmm.
whatever. For me, this just happened to me today. I thought of someone that's related to me that I have not talked to since last April.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and I don't know why but I personally, I'm a spiritual person, so I believe
Yeah,
that when these thoughts come into my mind, I'm supposed to
agree.
act on them.
Hmm.
And so I text this relative of mine and just said, "Hey, how you doing? Been thinking about you this morning."
Hmm.
And she responded and thanked me, and then said that it was really interesting because another relative had reached out to her as well.
Oh, wow.
And how much it meant to her that two people were thinking about her at the same time.
Hmm.
That's a that's a God thing.
When I say my
Yes.
prayers in the morning, I have my phone close because I will oftentimes get a prompting to reach
Yes.
out to somebody, and I just stop what I'm stop
Mhm.
stop in the middle of my prayer, and
Yes,
I
I've done that
will
too.
text that and then get back to my business, get back
Yes,
to the
for sure.
conversation at hand. Yeah.
Yes.
No,
And
I
have you
believe
ever
in
done that
inspiration.
where the person you respond to is like they needed that right at that exact
Yes,
moment?
almost every time. Almost
Hmm.
every time. And vice versa when it comes to me, same. I'm like, oh wow, I
Yes.
needed that right then.
Okay. Well, I'm going to be praying now when I'm supposed to reach out to Paige.
Please, if you don't mind.
That's great.
Let's finish up with a few more things about talking about the nervous system regulation and how it becomes the primary focus of health. What shifts do you see in how people relate to their bodies, their thoughts, and their healing? Do you see changes when they learn how to regulate their nervous system? What do you see happening in the
You're cutting
people
out
you
on
work
me
with?
a little bit.
Uh-oh. This sometimes happens in our neighborhood in the late afternoon when the
I think
mowers are
our
out.
connection just went out a little bit.
Can you hear me now? You look frozen to me, but I don't feel frozen. I don't know. Well, we will, hopefully, you can still hear me, and she will be back in a minute. But I want to end this session by thanking Darla very much because this was a much needed conversation. And I think there is just so much benefit to talking about nervous system regulation and how it relates to our bodies, especially those that are recovering from the effects of ultra processed food use disorder. And the one thing that was mentioned that she talked about is that how over time, if you stay in that dysregulated nervous system, people will get sick, and we want to avoid that. We want people to have the best lives they possibly can. So if for those of you that are listening right now and you feel like you're doing all the things for your health but you still feel anxious, exhausted, or on the edge, what is one small step that you can think of that you can start doing to begin to create safety within your body? Whether it is deep breathing, whether it is self talk, whether it's asking yourself, what can I do to make sure that I feel safe in this moment? But Darla's back with us, and I was just going to finish up by telling our listeners what is one small step that you can do, even if you already feel like you're doing all the right things, but you still feel anxious, exhausted, or on the edge. What is one small thing that you can do to start creating safety within your body? Oh, you're muted.
I'm
There you
back.
go.
I lost you
Okay.
for some reason. I don't
Yeah,
know
I
where.
don't know.
That whole Wi-Fi thing, right?
Yeah, I know.
For sure. To answer that question, it really depends on the person. And so the first step that I would encourage people to do is to breathe. And that
Yeah.
could begin, place a hand on your chest, maybe a hand on your
Mm-hmm.
abdomen,
Yeah.
and take one of my favorites is to breathe in what you want. So love,
Mm,
peace, joy, all the things that you want, and hold it, and then breathe out all the things you don't want. So maybe it's frustration or anger or
I love
disappointment
that.
or all those, and do that several times, like do it 2 to 3 times, and really
Mm-hmm.
hold that breath
Mm-hmm.
before you let it out. And then
Yeah.
it's amazing how that works for my clients.
Yeah, I agree. And the one thing that I love about that is I said one small, simple step. That's as simple as it gets, and it travels anywhere. There's no
Yes, yes.
packing it up, it doesn't take up a lot of room. You can just have it at your fingertips at any time. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. It's just always a
Absolutely.
joy to be with you. Do you want to tell people where they can find you, the best way to find you? And I can also put that in the show notes, but
Yes, absolutely. They can easily find me at coachdarlanelson.com. That's my website. And if you just Google Darla Nelson, Coach Darla Nelson, it's all over the place. But you'll find me too. I do videos 3 times a week over on Instagram, which then go to Facebook and all the different places. So,
hmm,
and my social media is all at Coach Darla Nelson. So that's a great place.
wonderful. I appreciate that so much, and I will put that in the show notes as well. So it has been a true joy, and I hope you'll come back and we'll have more conversations as time goes on.
Absolutely. This is fun. This
I
is
know,
fun.
flew by, just flew
It
by.
flew
All
by.
right, sister. Have a good
Thank you
rest of
so
your
much.
day. We'll talk to
Thank
you later.
you.
And if you want to find out more about us, you can find us at realfoodrecovery4u.com. That's the number 4 and the letter U. And our book, Real Food Recovery, If Food Isn't the Answer, What's the Question, is out on Amazon today. Thanks, guys. Bye bye.
Bye.